It sounds to me like you place the blame for this at the feet of the US president.
Without a shadow of doubt.
The world witnessed some very disturbing, if you will, behavior in the United States. What was your reaction when you saw it, when you saw all the images and the events unfolding in the US Capitol?
I saw what my Prime Minister saw, what my Foreign Secretary saw, what a lot of commentators in the UK saw, as well as what I've heard from the Jamaican Foreign Minister and others. We look to the United States as very much as one of the world's leading lights on democracy, those institutions, particularly born out of their conflict with the United Kingdom in terms of, for them to come out of British rule when Britain was a monarchy and not even a full democracy. The whole architecture of Capitol Hill speaks of that history. And in fact, one of the last occasions where there was a raid on Capitol Hill, it was the British trying to retake the United States. So we cherish, if you like, the way in which democracy has evolved. And what we saw yesterday was sad. I did not ever imagine that we would have the President of the United States actively calling demonstrators to target their procession and their rioting into the seat of one of the pillars of governance in the United States, where a process of electing and confirming his successor was actively being debated, and the sad loss of 4 lives associated with it. It is something that we utterly condemn, and we are totally dismayed to see what has actually happened. Because there are many, many times when we are called upon to be election monitors in countries where democracy is less fragile. And it gives us less credibility to be able to stand up and say, these are the ideals of democracy, when a leading example. Which is why I think the American senators are worried, the Congress people are worried, the commentators are worried. We've had resignations from within the White House staffing as well, because this disgust with what has happened is pretty universally shared. In contrast, I was commenting to a minister here that there was a time when the JLP won by just 1 seat. There wasn't a murmur from the PNP. There was no question as to what would happen the next day. That shows that this is where democracy is cherished, where the institutions are valued, where politicians know how to behave. That is the right example to set. And I truly hope that this is the only time we will ever see this spectre, because if this is not tackled, if the condemnation expressed by our Prime Minister and others is not replicated by others, and I'm glad that Kamina Johnson-Smith stepped up to say what she did, then it will tempt the next person, not just in the United States, but in the UK or elsewhere, say, well, if we can't get through to hanging on to power the legitimate way, we will resort to the mob to get our way. It was never going to happen. The Electoral College was going to do what it did, and I'm glad they sat again at night and did the job that they actually had to do.